So first of all, thanks for clicking to view the video in the first place. Appreciate that. This is me just literally doing the first panel of the first page of my manga called Balance. Now, I've been doing like the story for a little while, working on that, and I think I've got to a place where I'm actually happy now with the intro, the opening scene. So I've been reading a book called Save the Cat Writes a Novel, and the open image is the bit that I'm on, like the first 1% of it. And the book actually is really good at helping me lay out what I'm doing in terms of the whole story, what needs to go where, when to introduce stuff. And I've decided that actually I wanted to try something different. To most mangas, like the main character just starts off getting straight punched in the face. But that is a reflection of his world. Like, it isn't just to show it's not showing his weak, it's not showing his anything. It's just, this is the world that he lives in, where he's quite vulnerable to the people around him. There's not many humans, and I just think it's a great way to introduce the story. I'm using a Wacom Studio Pro, which is just means I can draw freely. I don't have to have it attached to anything. It's just a portable tablet that you can draw on. I've had it a little while. I find it works really well for doing all these kind of stuff. It handles everything fine, handles Photoshop fine, can handle Blender to some extent. It does crash, but that's just I think that's kind of this is a bit older, and that's gonna happen, So I'm starting off just by doing the outlines. I used the rectangle tool to make the boxes. If you copy the box, you can press shift and you can drag it down so you keep them all in a straight line. Just a helpful tip for doing the next kind of panels. With this one, I was just doing the line work and adding little bits, and I'm probably going to go back to it after I finish in a couple days just to check and see with some fresh eyes, look over it, get some feedback on what people think and stuff, and make any adaptations if I need to. But like I said, I've been looking at this and I'm kind of happy with how the opening imagery is. So unless the feedback is don't do it, then I probably will keep this. I will let you just chill, vibe, see how it goes. It's not really a tutorial, it's more just this is what I'm doing. I'm glad that you check it out. Feel free to go through it at whatever speed you want. If you want to skip to the next bit, then do so. Yeah, enjoy. So like I went and used some solid color just to color in Kane's face, hair, and like clothing. Just because like to be honest, I forgot to press record. But then just so to fill out the other character sounds like Kane is like a mixed race like child, so his skin tone I wanted to make sure was it stood out. It was like it represented that. So a lot of creatures will just have the paper in the background, and I'm gonna be using like Bend-Aid dots, which is what I'm using here, which is why it looks like there's it doesn't quite look like a solid color. And that's on purpose. That's part of the style. Like Bend-Aid dots were used by printing companies to reduce ink costs, and then you can see a bit better now zoomed in. It's used in like comic books, but it's used in manga. It's used everywhere. As an effect now, it's like in pop art. It's used as part of that kind of like traditional key point. It's a brush that was all no. Did I get it? I had to download it. So in a packet of in a package of brushes that I downloaded for free. Online it was in one of those, which is quite handy. Like there's two different sizes, or dot thicknesses, and it works really well. So yeah, I'm just here, I'm just adding that to add some extra detail in the hand of the ogre that has punched Kane in the face. So I was looking at the panel and I was like, I'm not so sure about this. Like the plain background, I'm like, it needs something extra. So I selected the inside of the rectangle, so I didn't have to go around and clean up all the edges. Basically used what is like a foggy kind of looking brush. It I like it for backgrounds and stuff. Like it makes it look like texture, but you can't really tell what texture. So it just adds it to the panel. It's quite quick for backgrounds. So yeah, I definitely like advise looking online for brushes. I just think it's the smartest way of like getting a range of effects, speed up your time you spend drawing, and yeah, it just makes life a bit easier, makes your panels a bit more interesting with like as minimal time and effort that you have to spend on it, which is kind of key if you're like doing this by yourself, you haven't got a team, and like pages take a while, like especially if you're just doing this in free time. Like not everyone has huge amounts of free time, so just a little pointer. And I think here is like, this is where I think looking at like reference artwork is quite important. Like, so I was looking at people getting punched in the face, like boxers, and I was like, okay, so like there's not normally, but there can be like spray from coming from the mouth as the person gets punched. And I was like, okay, I want to try and like add that to add a more dramatic effect to the punch, because I felt like it showed it was a punch, but like apart from the eye being closed, like how powerful was the punch? Like this punch like sent him flying, right? So it's gonna send some dribble, like spit, saliva, whatever you want to call it, flying across the area. So just tried to add a bit. I didn't want to add too much. Like, how wet is this guy's mouth? Like, let's be realistic about it, but enough to show that it was dramatic. And also, like, I saw in the imagery that like the dots aren't huge. It's more like a spray of water with some larger bits than he's drunk a bottle and has splitted it out. Yeah, so I hope you like this. It's a different type of video. It's a bit longer content. Me just trying to show what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and yeah, give you a little taste of the manga that's like progressing.